We have Christian Rodriguez, C Rod, if you will. He's going up against Cameron Saaiman. Christian Rodriguez, 9-1, 4-1 his last five, coming off of that convincing, emphatic victory over Raul Rosas Jr. 25 years old, 5'7", 71-inch reach. Um, Fighting against Cameron Saaiman, 9-0, 5-0 in his last five, so he's undefeated prospect from South Africa, 22 years old, so he's going to be the younger fighter here, but both of these guys are pretty young. 5'8", 67-inch reach, so he does have a reach disadvantage there. C-Rod has a 4-inch reach advantage over him. Just to kind of go over some of the stats, because both these guys, even though they're young, they both have a lot of UFC fights under their belt already. So they're kind of UFC veterans, if you will. But uh, C-Rod, I mean, good striking differential. He does land at a lower volume than Cameron Saaiman. 2.89 landed per minute for C-Rod, 5.41 landed per minute for Cameron Saaiman. Cameron Saaiman is also the more accurate striking fighter. He's 48% compared to 43% for C-Rod. Um, his defense, they're about the same. Cameron Saaiman seems like a more offensive grappling focused kind of fighter as far as takedowns, but C Rod does have some pretty interesting scrambles and submissions in this game as well, as you saw with the Raul Rosas Jr. fight, right? He was able to kind of stuff a lot of those takedowns that Raul Rosas had for him after round one, and was able to control that fight as well in the grappling department. Um, I think that this fight could be pretty interesting just because it's two up and coming prospects. So I know it's very undetermined who the UFC wants to push in this case because Cameron Saimani's coming off against a win against a can, right? I think Terrence Mitchell, he fought Terrence Mitchell, and that guy is just a guy that they leave around just to finish. I mean, you saw what Raul Rosas Jr. did to Terrence Mitchell his last fight, right? Just like straight up knocked him out. So that's why they signed that guy. But Z-Rod, I mean, he's coming off that win against Raul Rosas Jr. So, I mean, who are they really trying to promote here? I'm not too sure. Um, just because of the similarities between them, I mean, I I think that this is just going to be a super tough fight to kind of cap in a way because C Rod right now he's minus 145. He opened up at a minus 170, so not too much action in this fight so far. Um, when I do break down the tape, though, I think that Cameron Saaiman is the better striker. But if he tries to go for a more grappling focused game plan, I think that's where he potentially could run into trouble, like how Raul Rosas Jr. ran into trouble, right? Because C Rod, very underrated grappler, in my opinion. Um, he's has really good scrambles, like I said. He knows how to stay safe, and then he also knows how to reverse positions as well to kind of get himself on top. So I'm just not too sure. I mean, I want to go with Cameron Saaiman here, but because like I think that he is a more exciting kind of pressure fighter, right? He fights at the same camp that Dricus du Plessis does, so both of them have kind of interesting striking games, interesting grapple games. I really like how these guys fight, but I think C Rod's one of those guys that I think you have to be a UFC veteran in order to beat him, or someone who has more experience than him because if he fights someone that has similar experience to him or like maybe younger, he seems to be the more composed and smarter fighter in there. And Cameron Saaiman, I mean, even though he came off of that really good win, I think when he was fighting like Manny Martinez or like he he does wear some damage on his face and his just his kind of overall style. So I think he's a little bit hittable in that sense. Um, the pick here is gonna be, I think, C Rod, but I'm staying away from this as well, just because I think that this is probably a kind of 50-50 fight. And even though I pick a C Rod, if I were to kind of play this fight, I would say dog or pass because I do think that it's going to be a 50-50 fight. But yeah, pick a C Rod, but I think this once again is something that I'm going to probably stay away from. I think an interesting way to play it could be the over 2.5 potentially, because I do think that this probably will go to the decision. It's at minus 175 right now, so not too bad there. But pick here is C Rod, but yeah, I think I'm gonna probably pass on this fight. Gerard, what do you think about this fight here on the main card?
I definitely see the talent in Cameron Saaiman. I think he can do both striking and the grappling. He mixes it up a lot and is able to reverse positions as well, kind of like Christian Rodriguez. So in a
Mm,
way, it's like you're watching two of the same styles, kind
yeah.
of. And I'm not too sure how big of an advantage Simon will have against a Christian Rodriguez in terms of stand up. Um, it looks like Cameron will have like nicer, uh, nicer toolbox of strikes to throw, but I think they're pretty much kind of even, and maybe even Christian Rodriguez might be more disciplined and less risk taking in terms of striking, which is why you see Cameron sometimes seeing taking damage more often than a C Rod. So they might be pretty even in terms of striking. And in terms of grappling, yeah, I think this is where Christian, I think he just has proven experience, I think. And you seen that him taking on the prospect prodigy in Raul Rosas and how he handled that blitzkrieg of a onslaught. He was just calm, cool, collected through the whole thing, and just it seemed like he kind of finished the fight like easily. Like he wasn't really sweating about the pressure. He like, okay, I've dealt with things like this or worse than this before. It's this young guy just going full blazing at me. Um, Cameron Saaiman might be more. He'll probably be more calculated and not jumping the gun as much like that. But I think he might do some. He might take some risks that Christian Rodriguez might be able to capitalize on, whether it's grappling or even stand up, because he can get hit from what I've seen from Simon and Rodriguez. It looks like all his fights. It looks like he doesn't look like he's like losing
Yeah.
that much. Like even the loss that he had, I think it was in a higher weight class, and he looked good against the JSP Jonathan Pierce. So I I'm I'm not sure if UFC really wants to. Um, I don't know who UFC wants to feed Christian Rodriguez to Simon or Simon to Rodriguez. Maybe they're just trying to see who's the better fighter here and just build off of that. I mean, they're both young, so they still got a lot of runway. Um, I think, yeah, I'm at a, I think I'm at a low to medium confidence here for C Rod. I think he's just seen more and is more prepared because I think Simon he hasn't proven too much. We see the talent, we just haven't seen him tested yet. And we see kind of seen Rodriguez tested against better competition. And yeah, we haven't seen him lose to a younger fighter either. So yeah, I got C Rod here.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. I think the pick C Rod for me too. I actually think that this is one of those cases that the UFC, I think they put these two together just so, like you mentioned, see who wins, and then they're probably going to push that person up, and then maybe give the loser like another can, if you will, right? So whoever loses, they'll probably give them like Terrence Mitchell again or something, or find another Terrence Mitchell for them. So yeah, I think
Mm.
this is a just an interesting matchup, 50-50 fight in my opinion, and best of luck to both men there.